Hello and welcome to Accenture on Air Digital Transformers podcast series. Change is everywhere around us, it is part of our everyday life. Technology evolves rapidly in the industry sector, and innovation around connectivity, artificial intelligence, and machine learning offer new possibilities around manufacturing and process control. In this podcast series, we will be talking with industry experts, leaders in strategy, business intelligence professionals, and creators of innovation and change. We will discuss about delivering digital transformation at speed, scope, and scale, addressing the most complex and critical challenges by using the right technology and accelerating change across enterprise. My name is Marinel Moraru. I'm an expert in industrial connectivity and process control, and I will be your host for this show. We have a long journey ahead of us, and we will be addressing many technical subjects in the following episodes. Almost all of them will have something in common, and that is cybersecurity, and this will be the topic for today. I've invited my colleague Paul Ionut to give us an introduction to this topic. Paul, please tell us a few words about yourself.
First off, Marina, thank you a lot for having me. I'm really excited about this topic and the topic that we're going to analyze during this podcast. So my name is Paul Ionut. I am a security manager with Accenture. I am 30 years old. And I've been with Accenture for like the past close to 7 years now. I graduated the Military Technical Academy in Bucharest with the profile of a telecommunications engineer. And right after graduation, I used to work for a governmental institution here in Romania as an officer as well as a telecom engineer, support engineer. But after a year and a half of working there, I decided to join Accenture, and ever since I joined Accenture, I was only dealing with cybersecurity topics. Very soon after joining, I was involved in IoT-related security topics, and then slowly I migrated towards more of industrial environments, so industrial Internet of Things, and operational technology environments. So I've been working on these topics for the last 5 years or so now, and I'm looking forward to sharing my experience during this podcast.
Cool, thank you. Paul, what is security in your view?
Cybersecurity, in my view, Marinel, is a very broad term, and it would be like extremely hard to try and define it in one sentence, right? So I think that the easiest way to describe cybersecurity is by going back to the cybersecurity core tenets, which is the CIA triad, what is commonly known in the industry as confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So in the context of the CIA triad, cybersecurity means protecting the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data and systems. So for example, if we talk about protecting the confidentiality, this refers to ensuring that access to data and systems is only granted to authorized users and systems, basically on a need-to-know basis. So only allowing systems and users that need to have access to those assets to actually grant access to them, right? When we talk about protecting the integrity, this refers to ensuring that any modifications to data and systems should only be performed by authorized users and other systems, right? And when we are talking about availability, this basically refers to having systems and data available when needed, right? Because what good is a system that you cannot use when you need it, right?
Okay, you're right. Cybersecurity, that's the topic. Is any of the three security tenets more important than the other?
Yes and no. What I mean by that is that a comprehensive security strategy basically needs to consider all of the three security tenets, but in such a way that they are aligned with the business priority to enable security to become an enabler for the business. So different aspects or tenets of security may be more important in one industry when compared to another industry, or in some area of a company's activities when compared to other areas. If we were to take, for example, the healthcare industry, what we can immediately say about healthcare industry is that it includes a lot of sensitive data, right? We can imagine personal identifiable information, personal healthcare information, all types of financial data, medical records, etc., right? Now, when we're discussing about these types of data, they are highly regulated by privacy regulations, right? Now, what this ends up meaning is that the security for these types of environments will have a lot of focus on data confidentiality and protecting unauthorized users or systems from accessing this data. On the other hand, if we talk about, for example, floor plans in the manufacturing industry, an OT-specific environment, operational technology, focus more on process automation, monitoring, and control, the situation is a bit different, right? Here, the focus is more on system availability and safety, because this is what can generate the highest risk to the business, right? In these areas, we don't have that much personally identifiable information or any type of information with a lot of privacy-related impact, right? So the impact of production, data leakage, for example, which is the type of data we would have in those environments, would be in most cases far less damaging than something impacting the safety of employees or the availability of the production process.
Okay, so now that you've mentioned manufacturing, tell us please, what do you think OT security is so important?
OT security, yet again, is a very vast term, right? And OT security, OT in general, spans across so many different industries, but it essentially means more or less the same thing, right? For example, Gartner describes operational technology as hardware and software that detects or causes a change through the direct monitoring and or control of industrial equipment, assets, processes, and events. What does this actually mean more exactly, right? It means that we have these machines that are capable of capturing different parameters of their environment, from their environment, via sensors, and are also capable of performing physical activities in the real world. What this means is that with operational technologies, the consequences of a cybersecurity attack are no longer confined in the cyber world only, right? Attacks on operational technology systems can also have severe consequences in the physical world, on the environment, and even on employees operating close by to OT systems. So this only goes to make cybersecurity for operational technology system much more important than, let's say, traditional IT systems, where all of the consequences of a cyber attack are confined to the cyberspace.
You're right. And I'm sure we will speak more about this in the near future, because this is a really important topic, and there's so many things to discuss around this subject. Now we are doing this podcast in this way, remotely. I'm in Mureș, you're in Bucharest, and we do this online because of this global pandemic context that we are in. What changed in today's pandemic context in your view?
So if we talk about cybersecurity as a whole, right, I think there are a lot of things that have changed. First of all, the pandemic had during the pandemic, we have seen like a surge, an alarming rate of cyber attacks, right? There has been a surge in the number of the attacks, right? And this has been reported by numerous organizations across the globe that are in charge of monitoring these numbers, right? So for example, Interpol has stated that they have noticed a huge surge in cybersecurity attacks, right? Ranging from online scams and phishing attacks, right? To disruptive malware like ransomware, or disruptive malware that are causing distributed denial of service, even to data harvesting malwares, malicious domains, or things like misinformation, right? That we see a surge in during this pandemic. But of course, on top of this, if we like talk for the enterprise domain, we have also seen major changes that were caused by this pandemic. And like you said, we can see the impact of it in our podcast as well. So there's no wonder how this may have impacted us both as an enterprise and also our customers, right? Overnight, for example, both us and our customers had to basically adjust our business models to the pandemic context, right? So One of the things that comes into my mind here is of course remote working, which a lot of companies may not have been prepared to adopt in such a short time frame, right? So I think most business models previous to the pandemic did not rely so much on remote working, and once the pandemic happened, we all had to adjust, right? So there was this huge technology adoption process that most of the enterprises had to take in, right, in order to ensure remote connectivity for its employees to work on, right? But on top of this, we need to also consider that from a cybersecurity perspective, this can also open many new attack vectors to the enterprise, right? So it's not enough that enterprises adopt this remote working schemes and technologies to help them, right? It's very important to adopt them also in a secure way to ensure that not only you are enabling the functionality of this, but you are also doing it in a secure way that does not jeopardize your business, right? So on top of ensuring remote connectivity for your employees, there are also, of course, all other types of resources that need to be able to interact with as an enterprise in order to continue your business, right? So for example, we had let's say third-party service providers that were usually coming to our offices or to our floor plans in order to help us with patching or all different types of processes, right? Now this of course has also changed during the pandemic, right, and is no longer applicable. So on top of needing to provide secure remote access for our own employees, most companies also need to provide secure remote access to different resources, to different assets, to different systems, to third-party service providers that they are working with, right? So this, of course, considering the scale and the speed that needs to be adopted with during the pandemic, has raised a lot of concerns, right? And unless proper security thinking is given to this process, it may cause on the long term more bad than good, right?
Correct. And also we heard a lot about industry 4.0, digital transformation, and this happens around us every day. And what I've seen is that when it comes to security, is the first thing that you strip out when you start to do a project. In my experience, I've seen this a lot. Everybody starts by disabling everything around security when it comes to OT space. Is something that you've seen also and agree on this?
I've definitely seen this across multiple clients, right? So it's the eternal battle between security and functionality, right? And we are cursed and blessed at the same time to work in environments that tend to have a focus on functionality, right? I would dare to say that security has been given a lot more attention in the past couple of years because, and specifically, one of the causes is, of course, the accelerated digitalization that we see in these types of environments, right? So these digitalization processes are making these environments more prone to cyber attacks. So we're talking about more connectivity, more access paths, more things to think about and manage when you're talking about security, right? So all of this digitalization, all of this industrialization, all of this Industry X, what we call it, right, comes with its own security considerations. And unless we treat those as well, like I said, we're only doing more damage than good things on the long run, right? So I definitely think that security needs to go hand in hand with functionality, and security needs to be implemented in such a way that it becomes an enabler for the business. Even though if it, let's say, if may take some additional effort in the beginning, all the functionality can be kept with proper security consideration, right? As long as we do what's needed to mitigate the risk to acceptable parameters.
Correct. Thank you for this. So yeah, cybersecurity is a really important topic that we need to consider, and this is a really long discussion that we just touched the tip of the iceberg, and I'm sure we'll discuss more about this in our future episodes. And yeah, thank you for your input about this, about cybersecurity, and we'll talk again.
My pleasure, Marinel. Looking forward for our next episode. Keep me posted.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.